Good. And it's 1 minute past 12, which means Facebook's doing its thing and letting everybody know that we're here. So if you're on, just pop onto the comments and just say, I'm here. Hey, Cindy. Hey, Liz. We love to see who's following along. Amanda says, I see you. I see 5 people joining. Sue's watching. Good. So just keep them coming. Just say hi. Liz and I would love that, because we've talked by ourselves lots. And so it's good we're having different company today. So that's good. And this is Liz. Welcome, Liz. This is an interview we're doing with Liz. And what we're really focusing on is the haha moments, which, by the way, I always spelt it AHHA. And when I was doing the title, I was like, that's not how you spell it. And so we're really talking about the aha moments that really led to your change. And I'm just going to sit back because I feel like your story is going to really resonate with a lot of the women in the group, because I get the privilege of messaging everyone that's in the group and working one-on-one through the coaching program like you did, but not everybody collectively gets to see it. So sometimes we feel so alone in our experience, but I see that you're not alone in your experience. So I think it's going to resonate. And two, I think that when you start speaking about your aha and the changes that you've had, I think it's going to come through in the way you speak, because I feel and see the shift from the very first time we talked and to where you're at now. And so I'm excited for others to feel that energy too. So before we dive in, Liz, welcome. And do you want to just tell everybody who you are, where you're from, what you're all about?
Absolutely. Hello, everybody. I'm Liz Meseroll. I'm really happy to be here and excited to share my journey that I took over the past 12 weeks. And now I'm past and moving on and continuing. So I can say that I am a happy and young 50-year-old girl. I won't say woman because I'm going to say girl because I feel like that's just kind of who I am. I turned 50 in the midst of my journey. And that wasn't really the reason why I did this. It was just, this just happens to be the age I am. So I'm happily married. I have 4 beautiful children. 3 of them are adults, and I got a teenager. And I have worked in banking for, as crazy as it's to say, 33 years. And I currently and have been working at Libro Credit Union as the wealth operations manager for the last 25 years, which again is another one of those crazy wows. I also am in the midst of caring for my senior elder parents. So I'll get a little emotional about that because that's been part of my journey. They're doing well. Look at me, the mess about that part. Good.
You said this might happen.
I knew this would happen, but I've been caring for my parents, and that's been kind of a big struggle, and it happened right in the middle of all of this. So pretty amazed that I'm happy to say that both my parents are now home and back in their home. They were both in hospital at different times, so having to live with my parents part-time. I'm still kind of continuing to do that. So busy. I'm a busy person. I keep busy with, we have a cottage, we have a boat, we like the water and things like that. But that's kind of been put on the back burner until we kind of move forward with everyone's health. So
yeah.
Myself.
And so when you first reached out, one of the things that really sticks in my mind is that is you felt out of alignment. So you felt out of alignment with who you were or who you knew yourself to be on the inside and how others perceived you. So others perceived you as a bubbly, outgoing, got your shit together kind of person, and you didn't feel any of those things on the inside. There was a disconnect. And I remember when we first chatted, you were like, I want to feel those things because I did at one point, and now I just stopped believe it and stopped feeling that thing. So you just want to talk about that a bit?
Yeah, when I reached out to you, Cindy, I felt lost. You know what? And I feel like a lot of people have over the past 2 years, and that probably was a big part of it. But there were just so many things that I lost in myself, and I put me on the back burner. I put everybody in front of that, of myself, and realized that I needed to get back to my own happy. And I wasn't there, and I needed help. I couldn't do it on my own. I tried everything. I joke, today's June 1st, and probably I didn't think about it until I was kind of thinking about this this own chat here. And yeah, I just didn't know where to start. I didn't know how to get back on track. I felt like I tried everything and I just couldn't get remotivated. I always viewed myself or thought of myself as the chubby one, or I thought people thought that of me, which is such a silly thought when you outwardly looking in. But I just struggled. I wasn't happy. I was stressed. I was overwhelmed. I
Yeah.
just was unmotivated.
Yeah,
felt
I
lazy.
definitely felt the stress, which was interesting because you experienced a shift in stress, a high stress during the program, but that shift was different than the first starting point of that stress when you first came in, because it was coupled with feeling lost, not being motivated, not be making yourself a priority. So you talked about all these things that you've done before. So share a little bit about that, because I think that that's going to resonate with a lot of women in
Yeah,
terms of what they tried.
for sure. So, I did Weight Watchers. I keto, Beachbody, kind of doing whatever. I actually did the CanFit Pro nutritional, the certification. I learned, I learned how to eat, I learned how to work out, but I didn't know how to put it together. And I never really worked on this whole mind thing. And
Yeah.
that was like, it was always about what should I be eating? How should I be eating? When should I be eating it? And how much? And, what portion size? And same thing with workouts. Should I be doing strength? Should I be doing cardio? Should I be doing both? I just didn't, and I did. I've worked with Cindy before, and I loved working with Cindy when it was a few years ago.
Yeah.
The program isn't there anymore, but it was, but again, it was the nutrition and the workouts, but I realized there was a piece missing. I didn't until now. I will say that I didn't know that until now.
Yeah, because you were really good at starting something like a diet, or let's say keto, and you were pretty good at finishing it, but you always had this default pattern that happened.
Go
You
right
liked,
back.
yeah, you liked working out, but then all of a
Yep.
sudden you found yourself in this spot where it wasn't happening because work was demanding a lot more of you. You were investing a lot more energy, and you love what you do, and your role. And so that was taking up a lot of time because you didn't feel good about this part, even though you liked it.
Well, and I think I self-sabotaged all the way through. Like I would get to the point and I would see success, and then I just revert back to old habits and think I could do a little of this and a little of that, to the point where I would just fall right back to where I was before. And I didn't figure it out.
Yeah. And so just going back to what those old habits are, so we could paint a picture, because again, it's going to resonate with a lot of women, is your old habits were like, okay, so let's say you finished keto, right? Then all of a sudden you started to negotiate on what the rules were for yourself. And then all of a sudden you kind of blend, oh, well, that went out the window. So now I'm no longer doing anything.
All or nothing mentality.
Yeah.
That was definitely, I talk about starting on the 1st or starting on Monday, or, oh darn, I've just had that many beers or that many, a bag of Doritos or whatever, what, I might as well have the rest of this or have the rest of that, because, I allow myself to cheat and get to that point, but then I would just let it all go by the wayside. And then eventually it just would go there.
Yeah. So here you were at a point where you were like, kind of feeling broken, feeling really lost, you're going into your 50th year, you love work, and you're not doing the things that are making you feel whole and complete. So you reach out and we're talking or whatever, and you decide, okay, now I'm ready. And so we're kind of plugging away at it, right? We do the gut protocol, and then we kind of go into learning about nutrition in a different way. And we start practicing how to eat slow and how to eat mindful. So that was your first aha moment. Do you want to take the audience through that?
Absolutely. So my aha, and it's probably one of my biggest aha moments in going through everything, is I would eat with my eyes. I would, put something on a plate. I would always try to make sure I balance, my protein with a vegetable, low carb. I wouldn't have a whole lot of carbs there. But it would be a massive quantity on a large plate, and I'd just scarf through it and I'd eat through it and I'd go back for more, and I've eaten so fast. So then, as I would be sending Cindy my plates. She would take a look. She would kind of notice the portion size, or ask me the right questions for me to understand, how are you feeling after? Oh, I'm stuffed. Okay, well, we don't want to get to stuffed. And I realized I did. I would scarf my plate full. I learned my way through awareness and mindful eating. And so what that did for me was, first of all, made my plate a lot smaller. I really did look at the portion size of what was within what I should be not should be with my planned food. And sorry, I caught my should be. But I took the time, I ate slowly, like, and we set a timer for myself, as I would take upwards of, I would go 15 minutes to eat something. And I would put my fork down, I would get up, I would walk, I would do something, or I would just sit and enjoy my time. And then I would go back and take another bite. And I found many times that as I would go through that slow process of eating, I wouldn't want to finish everything. I was getting to the point where I was satisfied. I wasn't full. And I never walked away from a dinner or a meal feeling bloated and gross. So
And
the slow mindful eating was just such an amazing tool in my toolkit that I don't get to that gross bloat feeling anymore.
Yeah, and I just want to break that down, because it wasn't that you were eating what most people would consider bad food or junk foods. Your plates were actually really healthy. There were a lot of vegetables. There was just a large volume of it. Because I think sometimes women will say, like, I generally eat healthy and I can't lose the weight. For you, that was true for you. You were eating generally really healthy, generally whole foods,
Yep.
whatever. It was
Yep.
just, I asked you the question, do you eat with your eyes or do you eat with your body? Meaning, like, are we just, this is how much I think I want or I need?
Yep.
And then versus being like, I'm going to start off with a smaller plate. I'm going to eat. And then once I can slow it down. And once I get to that end of the plate, I'm going to ask, how am I feeling? And if I still want more, I give myself permission to want more. But generally, because I've slowed it down, I didn't want more.
And I was fine.
Yeah.
Like I was comfortable at that point. And I never was aware of my feelings of fullness. I was never aware of my feelings of hunger. I ate because it was noon. I ate because, I was in a place where, well, I had to eat, or, no, I ate because I was bored. I wasn't hungry. So that part was such an aha for me, was awareness of me, my body, being mindful of my time to eat and when I wanted to eat. Not,
Yeah.
it was honestly, it was awareness of how I feel.
Because I remember then you saying, after we practiced it for a bit, you kind of saying, like, holy shit, like, I always, like, looked at people that were thinner and being like, what do they know that I don't know? Because I eat healthy and I eat whole foods or whatever. And then it connected for you. It was just like, I never thought about my volume, and I never thought
Never.
listening to my body, right?
It was, your text to me was like, it was just a question. And that was your coaching the whole way through for me. And that's what helped me so much, was you would question. It wasn't like it was, do you eat with your eyes? Well, yeah, holy shit. Yeah, I sure do. Absolutely, I do. And I didn't realize that.
Yeah.
Because I did. And it would be a salad with protein, chicken on top. I'm a very routine eater. I don't go too far from, which I'm okay with. But I know Cindy always would want to know.
Well, because I would always ask you a question, are you enjoying that? Or, is that just because it's available or whatever? Because enjoyment is part of the whole plan, right? To make it.
Absolutely.
And then, so just for the women who really love their job too, have a hard time taking the pause to eat because they're like, I have so much to do, right? I'm getting pulled by the to do. You felt the same way. So how did that happen for you to take the time out?
I just did. It made me a priority.
Mm-hmm.
I realized the importance. I did not make myself a priority for quite some time. And I realized the importance of me. And if I'm not good with me, I'm not going to be good with anybody else. So to take that time, I stepped away, and I would plan out my meals, or I would, so that I would make sure that I guess that part of it was I did do better planning. And I'm not the Tupperware food planner. I know there are, and that works for some people, not for me. As long as for me, my planning was, it still allowed me to do what I needed to do from a work perspective, but step away and know that something would be there ready and available for me, where I wasn't going through the cupboards and trying to figure out. I had that part of the planning, and that has been another huge help for me, is ensuring that I have what I want ready for me, so that I'm better planned or prepped for
Yeah.
those things.
The other thing was is that one, you and your husband like to go out to eat sometimes, and two, when you first started, you said to me, we do a drink and pizza on Friday nights as a way to
Nachos.
nachos. We were talking
Nachos.
about those pizza.
Yeah, nachos, burgers and nachos.
Yeah. And so you went out to eat the entire time with your husband. You didn't change that, because for you it was about the connection time that you and him had. So do you just want to talk a little bit about that? Because sometimes people get into, let's say, wanting to lose weight, and then all of a sudden it's like, but now I can't do this with my husband, and I can't, and it's too much change, and that creates too many obstacles to get started. But you still ate, you still connected with him. You didn't have your Friday ritual, but it changed into something different.
So you and I had a conversation, and it was probably one of our first meetings, and that was, we talked about that. And I remember you asking me, well, why can't you do that? And at that point, I don't think I thought, well, I can't eat this, I can't eat that. Well, why is that bad? And so that was the shift also in my choices, and better understand, like, having choices. During all of this, nothing is restricted. I really I can eat whatever I choose. But I have to make choices from what I choose. So, the evening that we're talking about is I went out with Dave, and shocked him, because we did go out. We still got beer and nachos. We split it, but I had a small plate. I picked my portion of what I wanted from my burger and my nachos and my beer. I would have had 2 or 3 beers in normal, as in previous part of my life there. And I ate slowly. I ate my half of my burger. I ate part of my nachos, and I had my beer, and I just slowly enjoyed for the whole evening that time. And I was full. I was satisfied. Sorry, I wasn't full. I was satisfied. I was comfortable. I didn't need any more. And, Dave's like, this is all, like, we had a huge tray of nachos, and he's like, are you going to have to eat all that? Well, you can choose if you'd like to, but, feel free to package it up and take it home, because you're, going to be going home anyways. And, so yeah, it was a light bulb of, it wasn't, for the first time, it wasn't about the food, it was about the company. And I enjoyed what I had, and I still had my nachos, but I had a smaller portion of nachos to satisfaction. And I still had the burger that I love, but I had half my burger, which we had half a burger, but that was, I just was able to slowly eat, slowly drink, and still have what I wanted.
Yeah.
And it was about my company with my husband and my date.
It was always about the food.
Always.
And then you weren't as present for the company. And now we switched it, where we were more present for the company and less about the food. Because Dave could care less what's on your plate, but you made it that your priority, but you still enjoyed it. So then we're trucking along, and then all of a sudden shit hits the fan, because your dad ends up in the hospital, your mom's not doing well as a result, and then she herself ends up in the hospital, which means you're traveling to Sarnia, you're living in Sarnia, you're figuring out care, you're traveling to the hospital as well. So all that's happening. And I remember you sending me a message and you saying, I think I need to pause the program, because this just got real. So you want to talk about that moment there?
Yeah, for sure. So life happened, and it came pretty fast. As Cindy said, both my parents got ill, and my mom wasn't able to be in the home by herself. So my sister and I were having to live with her for basically the 7 days. We were splitting it 3 days, 4 days, and being able to go visit my dad. And so I felt at the time that I wasn't investing myself as I thought we had, kind of honestly just kind of had started. We were 2 or 3 weeks in. And so I was sad, because I thought, oh, I'm not going to be able to invest the hard workouts and the I can still plan my food, but I thought, no, let's hold, because I want to give it my all or nothing. dare I say it, but that's how I felt. And so then you and I talked, and you helped me through, no, let's keep going. This is life. And this has been the toughest part of, I will say, like, this has been the hardest. This is the most stretched I've ever been in giving to everyone else. But through it all, I still made me a priority. And so I'm glad we didn't pause. I thank you for me not pausing. I, I, I was really successful going through this, and I still made me a priority while still giving the care where I needed. I'm also in the midst of a massive project at work, and I still was able to gave my time to that. But I also learned that I could lean on others to help me out. I had I have a great family that had helped me through that. I didn't have to do everything myself. I have others to help and coach me through, support me. And so going through what we went through here, I still learned the way to navigate. And so one of the things where I thought I had to give it 100% into my workouts, I learned that it's okay if I just get up and go for a walk, or if I just do a body weight workout down in my parents' basement, because, I don't have my gym at there or whatever, but I learned to live more on a continuum. It doesn't have to be, I had to give 1,000% to do anything. I literally just had to do something to ensure that I met what I wanted as my level of movement each day, my what I wanted to meet from a nutritional target. And I achieved it. It wasn't perfect, but I still did it every single day. It became my non-negotiables.
Yeah, because what you were used to doing was pausing. So you were used to like, hey, this is happening, so I'm just going to pause. And if you had paused, you would have just got because your parents just got back into the home. So you would just be getting started now. So you would have delayed, 14 weeks or whatever that was. You would have delayed your progress. And so that's what you were used to doing. And so then you were met with me. And then I was like, whoa, like, let's look at what your pattern is. And let's look at, let's calibrate what your expectations are. Or let's calibrate what it is that we're practicing while you're going through this. And so we did for a little bit. We adjusted the dial, right, on what we were doing. And then as you got going, you started finding a different rhythm, right? Because that almost became your normal. You were used to going to Sarnia, you were used to going to the hospital or whatever, and you figured that way. And I even remember too, when we were just like, initially there was resistance about even working out at your parents because you couldn't leave your mom alone. Yeah. And then it clicked. And then you messaged me and you're like, wait a minute, there's this moment in time right here where these two things are converging. And therefore, and you even came to that by yourself, right? But it was like, we needed to go through the resistance kind of first. And so my whole thing is like, hey, you're so used to just hitting pause because deadlines at work, this thing happened, right? And that hasn't got you any further ahead. It's just gotten you to practice the skill of pausing.
Yes.
So here you were being like, no. And then we calibrated everything to make it fit for you. It also helped you uncover that I am an all or nothing person.
Oh yeah.
Yeah. And
totally.
And then now it's like, well, what does it look like to be in that gray area? Like you said, your words, the continuum, what does that even look like for me, right? Because I think that's an important thing to pause on, because a lot of women are in the all or nothing. A lot of women do hit the pause. A lot of them, like you said, start on the Monday, start on the first of the month or what have you. And you got through it.
I have got through it, and I don't think that way anymore. It's been such a mindset shift. I don't think that way anymore. And I truly believe it's not something I would revert back to. I now have the proper thought focus on knowing, yeah, sure, I can't go and do a however long strength training because something has come in my way, but I can do something else. So I have that. And same thing, even when, you and I talked about it, talking to, if I was on the run from Sarnia to a hospital in London, because I was at my mom's hospital, my dad's, Sarnia and London, both hospitals at the same time. And I literally had to, but I, tried to find, I needed to eat. I was hungry. What would I eat? Did I have something planned? And, we talked about, yeah, you still can go through a drive-through and get something healthy, or not something that is going to fit within what you're looking for to still maintain what you wanted. So that's where I realized that it didn't have to be all or nothing. Like I didn't just throw it to the wind. I just have different choices. I learned choices.
Yeah.
I live by choices now.
Whereas before there wasn't, because you were like, I'm doing keto. So this is my
body. All I can have.
Fit in. Yeah. And then the other thing was I remember you saying like, I totally lost my train of thought. So like the stuff's happening with your parents. And I remember you saying, I kind of feel guilty how at peace I feel in the middle of all of this chaos.
Yeah. Because I wasn't used to, I never, well, I don't know. There's times I would put myself first in that I'm like, oh, I'd go shopping, retail therapy. I would do something to that effect. But no, looking back on the last 12 weeks in the care that I provided my parents, I was at peace. And I also was able to navigate my way through. You helped me with worrying and wondering. I got past that's when think about our 12 weeks, this isn't just about nutrition and fitness. It was about mindset. That was my goal. That my thing was all about, my goal was about changing my mindset and changing my my happiness level, I guess, is what we talked about it the first time. But I just lost my thought there. Just lost my train of thought.
Wondering and worrying.
Oh, the worrying and wondering. And I used to always just sit there and I would go to the worst place and think the worst. And through this with my parents, especially, I didn't go there. I didn't go to, oh my gosh, and think about the worst case scenario with either of my parents. Or that's where the peace came, is that I didn't have that. I was at peace going through what I was like I had me first, and I don't know. It's hard. It's so hard to explain, and I wish I could explain it better, but it's
hard.
It was,
yeah, people feel like there's already a bias or a belief about, I'll feel guilty if I put myself first. And I think for you, maybe it was me too, not just me first, because you were still prioritizing your parents. You still got out with Dave. You still had your own kids or whatever, but you weren't getting lost in the wondering and worrying and the needs of other people. You were like, okay, this is my minimum dose I can give myself so that I have enough in the bank to give to everybody else.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely.
So that's already a bunch of aha. Then the other one was comparison to other people was one that came up for you.
Yeah, I did. Starting off, I did always compare myself to many others. I don't do that anymore.
Why do you think that is?
Because I love me.
Oh yeah.
I love me. I lacked a lot of confidence in myself before because of my own limiting beliefs. And I'm happy with me now. And I look at me, and it's not because I lost some weight. It's not that. It's just such a different feeling of, I'm proud of who I am. I'm proud of the how strong I am and how far I came through it. I'm not through it. I'm going to continue. This is my lifestyle. And so I don't look at others and think, oh, I wish I look like that, or I wish nothing. I look at me, I look at me every day now, and I'm like, you look great, or I can see a smile, or, I feel amazing.
Yeah, let's go with that too, because when you submitted your first picture and your after, I remember saying like, look at that smile. And I remember you saying Dave was even like your face just totally lit up and different. And then the posture. Do you remember you had back pain when you first started?
Yeah, I had lower back pain. Now I have a desk job, obviously. So I sat, and a desk job for 2 years of working from home during the midst of COVID. But my first picture, my first submission, I wasn't aware. And of course, I was also like, oh, who wants to sit? First of all, I don't like pictures. I do now. But having to send my picture in, and my face was like it was just I don't know. It just was not a good face. And I didn't stand prominently. I was always hunched over, and my back, the way I was standing. But Cindy, when you looked at my pictures, you compared it. You notice my shoulders, I hunch. And then the other thing was that I was tilted forward in my kind of pelvis area. And so I did have back pain and I didn't realize it until you said, are you like hips and my pelvis? It was just the way it was tilted. And since then, now I'm aware of my posture. And I stand straighter, I feel better. And
Yeah,
I
because you were
just see
blaming
a
your
difference.
weight. I remember us having you were blaming your weight, and I was like, it could be, but let's try this over here first and see if that felt. And then you were like, wow, I never noticed that. And I was a little bit of a tangent off because we were talking about comparison to others. And I like that you said I like me, because I think that also when you get grounded or you believe in what you're doing, because I think sometimes, like when you're in keto, you have an ounce of belief, but you have an ounce of doubt. You have an
Yeah,
ounce of like, oh, maybe something else will come along that's better. And so when you're grounded in what you're doing and it lines up with your future self, you become more confident in what you're doing and who you are, because all the things converge. What you do, who you are, come together.
totally.
Yeah.
Totally they do. And it happened for me because the very first time that we chatted, as we started this, was I talked about how I didn't want to see anybody else. I didn't want to, because I was embarrassed about me. So I did that, like the whole comparison of to others. I thought people thought that of me, which is again so silly. No, and that's, it's not even silly. That just was where I was at. And so now I know I'm not that. And so that I don't compare myself to anyone else, but I just look to continuing to enhance who I am or where I want to go with, because I'm still on my journey. I'm not done, and I don't know that I'll ever be done. We won't be. I just continue to just work my way with what I've learned and enhance those things and ebb and flow with what's my next goal or where I want to go with it.
Yeah.
So that's the comparison. It's to me, it's not to someone else. It's looking back on where I was before to where I am now. And that's my success and that's my happiness. That's my peace. That's my joy.
Yeah, I love that. I love that because you're comparing we did that one where you first started to where you are now, and it's like looking at what you've done in the last year versus like you were constantly always in that place of comparing yourself to someone else,
Always someone else.
that ideal that was never there. But things changed now for you. So you and Dave work out together now.
We do. And I need your help, but probably with Dave too. But Dave is now actually um eating the way I eat, with slow mindful eating, because he came to me and he's like, I see how positive you are now. I see how you are within our meals and how we I don't know, long as we eat dinner together or just dinner, because obviously we're working and he's not there. But he I gave him some feedback, positive, and how to do it, and gave him some suggestions. So and he's now I'll watch him eat and he'll scarf, and he's not now. So he's always, he was the quickly grab some food, or he'll scarf what our meal was. So now that part, he's working his way through his own nutrition and how he wants to navigate himself through that. And then also our workouts, our movement. We typically like to work out together, but it wasn't consistent. So now we get up every morning, and not every morning, that's not true. We get up most mornings. And during the week, we'll schedule a strength training in the morning, or we'll just go for a walk, or we'll go for runs, where him and I are both have been going back, and he saw that I was running again and trying to get back into that running joy, the run in the morning or the run at night. And so he's like, you know what, I want to do it. So now we have either a run, a walk, or a strength training in the morning, a walk at night, and eating together. And yeah, it's nice to do it together.
I love that, because it's like it goes to show that sometimes if you take a leading role when the other person is ready, which for Neil it didn't happen that quick. For Neil it took a lot longer. But when you take a leading role, when that person is ready, then you're in a position to give feedback to help them out and to be ready to kind of do it with them. And so it's a different way of framing it, because sometimes we feel like we're leaving the other person behind, or we feel we don't know how the relationship's going to change or what have you. And so we put off our own goals that we have because we feel like it's at the expense of the other person. But this is an example, and I see it all the time, is like it transformed your relationship and what you do together. And now he's looking to you for guidance.
Yeah, absolutely. Like every morning after we get back from our walk, get ready for work, and then he'll make his what he wants, and it's funny to watch what he makes. I'm like, oh, just yeah, he's doing that with my guidance, and I'm not a pro at it, but I feel like I have good tips and tricks and nuggets now that you've helped me, that I can help him. And he's the first time he had to sit and eat slowly, almost killed him, but he did it.
Yeah.
Because I'm like, slow down. But, well, I'm going to eat it all. I said, but you don't know that you will. So just take your time. And so now he's adopted that eating style, the mindful eating. He's aware of it now. And he's lost some weight.
Oh, okay, good. Yeah. See, like the snowball effect. I love it.
Yeah.
What makes you excited about your future self? Like, you probably didn't think that after the end of 12 weeks, you would feel this way, you would lose as much weight as you did, you would look the way you did. And so, sometimes it's hard. We think we have a vision of what it'll be like, but sometimes you exceeded that and you could have never envisioned how you felt. And so now you're done that, and you think about the next version of you, the 3.0 version, or what makes you excited about that future self?
Oh, just the fact that I won't go back to where I was before in ever having that all or nothing thought, like that life of, I got to do this, I got to start on this day. Just continuing to evolve in where I am. Like, so the fact that I'm happy, I'm smiling, that was my big goal, happy, smiling. And I know that's not a good measurable because we talk about SMART goals, but just continuing on the lifestyle that I am, and being aware, making sure, keeping myself in check with awareness, and just continuing to excel in what I've already achieved now, but just different goals. So, I still, making sure my non-negotiables are still whatever that non-negotiable is. I'm still going to have the movement. I'm still going to have my, my nutritional part of it. Reflections, like making sure I'm still celebrating me. I didn't celebrate me. You helped me celebrate me. And that was something I never did. So making sure that I'm still making myself a priority, because I know that will keep me grounded to who I am. And I am a happy person. I'm a bubbly, goofy girl. That's why I said I'm the 50-year-old young girl. And I want to still be that person. I want to continue to be that person. And I want it to shine off to everybody else that I'm around.
Yeah. And I love that we looked at celebrating the small wins as you went along, because that was an unfamiliar space for you in that way. And I love to, because sometimes the fear is like, I'll do this and then I'll go back to my old ways. But we've really developed like what the non-negotiables are and how to do the check-ins, how to keep yourself kind of accountable along the way, so that fear or that complacency doesn't creep up.
And I think that's something that I want to keep in check was we talk about falling to old ways, but I feel like now that I'm aware, like I have a voice in my head, I can talk to that voice now, and it's awareness. I want to make sure that awareness is always present, so that if I do go to that cupboard and I want to grab something, I stop myself, I think about it. Is it worth it? I make the choice. And then, and if I have to take something, I take it, but be okay with it and move on. And then the next day, it's just a matter of start fresh again. Whereas before I'd be like, meh, throw it to the wind and just go bad. And that's the part that I'm glad that I've moved past that.
Yeah.
I just keep my awareness voice.
Yeah. So, which was a nasty voice, but now she's switched to a different voice. So
she's a much different voice.
Acknowledge that. So as we wrap up, what advice would you give to somebody who felt the way you did starting out?
Call Cindy.
I did not hear to say that.
That was not strategically placed. So, one of the things that I'm glad I called you. You have been, it's funny how life happens. for whatever reason, you happened to reach out to me to join your Facebook group. And that was right at a time where I was at my lowest. And I'm like, wow, that's interesting. And so I did reach out, and I knew I wanted more than just a group. I wanted one-on-one. And for me, I've done things on my own. I knew I needed accountability. But honestly, this has been probably just the best thing for me. And Cindy, you've been a life changer for me. I call you my life coach, because you didn't just teach. This has never been about what to eat. Here's your food plan. Here's your meal plan. Here's your workouts. Here's your workout plan. It was, you helped me through stress with work, stress with personal life, stress with food, stress with workouts, things like that. But you gave me the tools, the support, the guidance. You challenged me. I never have gone through something like that with someone. And the fact we didn't meet every single day, we talked every day through messaging, but you and I had our monthly coaching and our workshops. But what you taught me and supported me through, and when I say challenged me, you would challenge some of the things I would put down, and you'd be like, hey, what about? Or is that really, again, talking about, is that really what you want? But it was always thought provoking, and it took me to my aha moments, and those aha moments have stuck with me. And if I didn't have you pointing those things out, I never would have become aware of those things. I never would have been aware of how I eat with a plate, and then it's eating with my eyes. I don't know. There's just to me, what my biggest, you helped me. And I think too often we try to go it alone. We try to read what's on the internet. We try to do this, but having a coach, and you know what? I work at an organization where we believe in coaching and going to the right coach. And, we do, that's what you want to go to. And so reach out to the right coach. Cindy, you're my coach, and I appreciate it. I appreciate my relationship with you. And I'm really thankful. You got me to a point where I never thought I actually would be in my own life. So and it was only 12 weeks.
Yeah.
So,
well, in true transparency, not everybody that I work with is as willing and open as you are. And so when you say it was only 12 weeks and I got to this place, it was because of your willingness and your openness. When I asked you questions, you were willing to go there. When we set up little experiments, you were willing to try it out, right? And so it was because of that you've experienced the shift and the ha-ha moments. I was just guiding you there, but you had to have it within you to do that. And some people still get stuck on it's just the food, just the exercise, and aren't willing to open up the mindset, the boxes in the attic, to uncover kind of what's in there. And so your willingness to do that is what led to your transformation.
Yeah, for sure. And I think that's what was what was helpful. And it was, I said at the beginning, mine wasn't about a number on the scale, and it wasn't about how much I could lift. It really was mindset. And I went into it I'm glad with the right mindset, but I also wasn't in a good place. That's the part that you have to be open to feedback. You provided me the feedback that I needed. And if you just said, oh no, you're doing great, that wouldn't have been helpful to me. And your style of helping me with that was what helped me the most. So I appreciated that. I would want you to say, yeah, go ahead, go eat that. You're good. It was helpful. So
I never said you couldn't eat that.
No, I know.
Talk about what's happening around you. What are you feeling?
Awareness.
Yeah. It was never about the food you were eating. That's every client's never, it's always about what led up to it, what was happening during, what was happening after. We want to connect the dots. It's never about some clients will feel guilty about I didn't even want you to see what I ate. I don't really, that's the least interesting part. The most interesting part is what you're feeling, what you're thinking, what you were doing leading up to that, around it, and whatever. And that's what we did together.
Absolutely. And I think the other big thing is that us working together was curtailed to me. It wasn't a cookie cutter. It wasn't that. It was you were with me every single day. And it was me. You helped me. So that was, again, so I call Cindy.
Well, I do want to thank you because I think it's going to resonate a lot with the women in the group. And I hope that you'll drop into the comments and say, what's one thing you can take away from what Liz shared today in the comments? Because Liz would like to hear that too. And so would I. But I know that it's going to resonate a lot because, again, I get to hear those conversations and we sometimes feel alone when we're in those spots or those situations too. So just want to thank you for taking 45 minutes with the group to share your story as openly and honestly as you did. So thanks, Liz.
Thank you. Thanks, Cindy. Thanks, everyone.
All right, to everybody in the group, ciao.